Good evening, dear listeners, and welcome to the second podcast of TSF1 Greece for Formula One. In today's podcast, I have with me Panos. Good evening, Panos.
Good evening, Alex.
So today we are going to discuss the Bahrain testing, the transfer period with so many drivers swapping teams, some newcomers, some old names taking other old names places, and we will also comment on the full calendar for this year as well as go into each team with its drivers and make also some first comments on the GP of Bahrain, which will also be the first race of this year. We are releasing this episode a bit later than we originally planned because of the accident that took place in Greece. You may have seen about it, so we thought it's the least we can do for the 3 days where there has been a mourning all over Greece to respect the people who got injured and the ones who lost their loved ones. So that's why we're a bit late. Now, going back to our podcast, first of all, Panos will comment on what we saw in Bahrain during the testing period, as well as all the transfers that we saw from drivers going from one team to the other, as well as the newcomers during the transfer period. So, Panos, the deck is yours.
Thank you, Alex. Let's start with the transfers. As Alex said, we have Alonso in the seat of Sebastian Vettel, our beloved Sebastian Vettel. In Aston Martin, we have Gasly taking the place of Alonso for Alpine. We have Hülkenberg instead of Mick Schumacher for Haas. We have Piastri instead of Ricciardo for McLaren. We have De Vries instead of Gasly in AlphaTauri. Logan Sargent instead of Latifi for Williams. And for the pre-season testing, we have Dragovic instead of Stroll for Aston Martin, because Stroll had a bicycle accident, but I've read that he's okay and maybe he will be fine for the Bahrain GP. So let's see day one highlights. Turn 10 was difficult for all the drivers. They seem to be losing it for some reason or something. Red Bull seems to have pace this year, again. Every year we see Red Bull conquering the field. We see Sainz being more comfortable with the SF23 than Leclerc. We have the first red flag from Dragovic, technical failure. And the Mercedes seems better than last year. McLaren seems to have a brake failure. Norris doesn't seem happy about it. Haas seems stiff and unstable. And the fastest lap was from Max Verstappen. I wish it was from Sebastian Vettel, but not in Red Bull anymore, not in Formula One anymore. Okay, so we have Max Verstappen, 1 minute 32 seconds, 0.8. Then we have Alonso, second place, and then we have Sainz. Then day 2, we have Zhou showing some good results and some good pace. In the afternoon he had the fastest time of the day with 1:31.610. The second place took Verstappen and third place was Alonso, showing some really good pace for Aston Martin, showing them that Aston Martin has a possibility to chase for something maybe this year.
That would be great if it happened. We definitely need a change in the midfield.
Yes,
but love to see Aston Martin doing better,
but with the help and tips and training from Sebastian Vettel. Let's see. Zhou, after setting the fastest lap, tried to tried to do a training for the start and had the technical failure. Sergeant had the most laps on day 2, 154 laps. Mercedes had some issues. Alonso, as we said, was flying in the Aston Martin, and Piastri did better time than Lando Norris, which is concerning.
The more you learn and you find out.
Third day and the last day of pre-season testing, we had Perez hopping in the car of Red Bull Racing and setting the fastest lap of the day with 1:30.305. Then we had Hamilton, and third place was Bottas in the Alfa Romeo. Bottas brought the first red flag of the day, having some issues with the gearbox. Ferrari
really?
had
An Italian racing car brought a red flag to a race. Italians had a failure. Wow. I mean, I'm joking, okay? So Alfisti, don't take it personally.
We are tifosi, so yeah.
It's just humor, okay? Don't get hit in the comments.
We had Ferrari, as we talked about being tifosi and all the Italian things, having some issues with the rear wing of Leclerc with the DRS.
Again, Italians and problems. That's new.
Also, we had Aston Martin flying for 3 days straight. We also had Piastri losing the car at turn 10. McLaren also had some issues with the brakes on the third day, and Ocon was porpoising like hell. That's it for the pre-season testing from me.
Can I make a small comment? I mean, I'm really curious to see what will happen on turn 10 during free practice, qualifying, and the race itself. I guess
we'll have to wait.
Yes, so let's say the faint-hearted ones will just take it a bit easy, and I guess the braver ones will really use it out to make the best out of it. So I think we should now go and take a look at the calendar for this year. So just a minute. Okay, so the F1 schedule for this year contains 23 races. We already had during February 23rd to the 25th the testing in Sakhir, and now let's see the race program. So in March we will have 3 races starting this weekend in Bahrain as per today. Then we will have during the 17th to 19th Saudi Arabia, finishing March on the 31st to the 2nd of April in Australia. Then we have a slight break till the end of April, where on the 28th we have the Grand Prix of Azerbaijan. Moving on from Azerbaijan, we go for the first race of the 3 in the United States. Between the 5th and the 7th of May, it's a new Grand Prix, a new circuit. No, it's really the second year, but I mean it's relatively new. It's the Miami Grand Prix. After that, we're going back to Europe. 19th to the 21st of May, we will see the Italian Grand Prix taking place in Imola. After that, we're going to Monaco at the end of the month. Beginning of June, we travel to Spain for the Grand Prix of Barcelona. After Spain, we do have a 2-week break where we then go to Canada, closing the month of June and the beginning the month of July in Austria. After that, we have the Grand Prix of Great Britain, another classic one in Silverstone. Then at the 21st to the 23rd of July, we have the Hungarian Grand Prix, another highlight, especially for us people living in Europe. It's one of the most affordable ones, and it never fails to disappoint, to impress. Excuse me. Now, for this year, the 13th round at the end of July, the last weekend of July, we have the Belgium Grand Prix taking place at Spa-Francorchamps. That's like my best French. Then we have around a 1 month break, the summer break. After that, we are picking up the action in the Netherlands with the Dutch Grand Prix at the August 25th to the 27th. At the beginning of September, we go back to Italy for the second round of the Grand Prix in Italy, this time at Monza, another amazing track and definitely a calendar highlight for us in Europe. In the middle of September, we travel far away to Singapore, going then the next weekend, the 22nd to the 24th, to Japan. After that, we are coming back towards the Middle East, beginning of October, so the 6th to the 8th of October we have the Grand Prix of Qatar. After that, at the 20th to the 22nd of October we have the second of the three Grand Prix of the United States, this time at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin and Texas. The next weekend will see us traveling to Mexico for the Mexican Grand Prix. After that, again in a row, we have Brazil with the Grand Prix in Sao Paulo. In the middle of November, we are going back to the United States for the second to last Grand Prix of the season, this time at the Las Vegas Grand Prix, a new track for this year, which, I mean, Panos, I think I will get bashed by Americans, but it kind of looks like a track that a kid has designed. They try to be Monaco / Azerbaijan, like a city circuit, but I mean, I don't know, Las Vegas is a bit too big maybe for such thing, but we will see. Maybe it will be a pleasant surprise. I mean, you never know until it happens, right?
Exactly.
And then we have the last round at the end of November 24th to the 26th with the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. That's quite the calendar this year. I mean, it's full, but I mean, we're
22 races or 23.
Yes, so we are plus one race, which is a plus in our books. Let's go and see all the F1 teams for this year and their drivers. Starting with Mercedes, which has George Russell and Lewis Hamilton. Alpine has Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly. Haas F1 team has got Kevin Magnussen and Nico Hülkenberg. McLaren has got Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. Red Bull Racing, the same as last year, Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. Aston Martin has got Lance Stroll and our uncle Fernando Alonso, of course, the GOAT. Now, Mercedes fans, don't go in the comments and start me about the GOAT thing, okay? It's a joke. Alpha Tauri has got Nick De Vries and Yuki Tsunoda. Ferrari has got Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. Alfa Romeo has got Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu. I mean, for whoever is Chinese, Guanyu. I mean, I will never get this right. Sorry in advance if someone is listening in this Chinese. I don't mean to offend the guy. I mean, I just have trouble with it. So it's Zhou for me. And finally, we have got Williams with Alexander Albon and Logan Sargent. These are the teams for this year, the 10 teams and their drivers. So I think we can close this podcast with a few details about the Bahrain International Circuit. So they have had their first Grand Prix back in 2004. For this season, we will have 57 laps. The circuit has got a length of 5.4 kilometers. The drivers will be covering a distance of approximately 308.2 kilometers, and the lap record of Pedro de la Rosa back from 2005 remains unbroken at 1 minute 31 seconds .447. I mean, the guy was flying. It's amazing. I think that's pretty much everything for this podcast. We are going to do our best to have next week our podcast about the Bahrain GP online as quickly as possible. At this point, I would like to thank Panos for being with me today. So Panos, thank you very much. Please feel free to subscribe or follow us depending on whether you are listening on us on YouTube or on Spotify, Apple Podcast or Google Podcast, because we will also have, if time allows it and if there are technical changes and updates, we will also have some extra content aside from the races. Till our next podcast, thank you very much for taking the time to listen to us. Write down in the comments below who you think will be maybe a highlight for this year, team, driver, who will do better than last year or worse. We are really curious to see what we will have as an opinion now compared to what we will have after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Till then, have a great day or evening depending on where you are around the world, and we look forward to having you amongst us again on the next podcast. Bye.